We had a comment on our tanging video from Rich Mountain Recon who said, "Tanging tricks the bees because it sounds like thunder and lightning." Today I'm going to test out thunder and lightning sounds played from my phone during a swarm. This should entice that swarm to land lower or closer to my phone. So stay tuned, enjoy the video, and remember to check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our blog at Rascal Apiary. So now that we have the swarm in full motion, I decided to lower the actual thunder and lightning noise so that the video is viewable. But I do have the thunder and lightning noise going. You'll see on the pergola there, I put 2 swarm commanders. They're about 2 years old, so they're not super potent. The reason I did that is I just want to be proactive. So if this experiment doesn't work out very well and the thunder and lightning noise don't bring the bees down, they will hopefully smell the swarm commander, and that will entice them to come down. And you'll see in the video at first it doesn't. There's really no bees over at the swarm commander, but I'm playing the noise and the bees were moving to the north, and they stopped once I started playing the thunder and lightning, and they started to hover right above me. And you'll see I just got scared by a bee, and I decided, since I didn't have any protective clothing on, I'm going to just stand under the pergola and just watch the bees that way and see if they'll come in under the pergola if it's the noise that's making the bees come lower and lower. But you'll start to see they're getting on the swarm commander here. And this whole process is in real time. I didn't speed anything up. I'm starting to think that this is a cool trick if you have friends over or just new beekeepers and you want to show them how to bring a swarm to you. The thunder and lightning noises did appear to at least stop or bring the bees closer to me. And then the swarm commander kind of took over after that. They were able to smell it and they all kind of went after it. So it's a cool little parlor trick. And I would suggest, if you're a beginner beekeeper, be proactive. Don't just watch them fly away, because they're your bees. Beekeeping is a lot of finders keepers. So if those bees go into somebody else's hive on a different property or somebody's house, it's theirs at that point. So let's talk about swarming. Swarming is a natural process in the life cycle of a honeybee colony. What they're trying to do is build out until there's no more room. They'll have plenty of resources and plenty of brood, which is the baby bees that are going to emerge. And they'll take 70 to 90% of the colony and they'll swarm like this and go find a new home. Here's a bee on my finger. And you can tell I don't have any protection on right now. I will eventually switch to my veil and gloves and everything, just because it's the right thing to do. Once the bees land, you don't want to, as a beginner, try and shake the bees into a box or anything like that, and then have an awful experience by being stung in the face. Look on YouTube, you'll see it all over the place. Beekeepers getting stung, and it kind of gives us a bad rap. But at this point, when they're swarming, they've already left the colony. So this is, 60% plus of the bees from that colony. And they have no home. So there's nothing to protect, nothing to defend. And they're not going to hurt you. If you try and smush them, they will sting you. But as far as them just flying around you, you can stand in the middle like this and you'll be absolutely fine. They may run into you because they're little bees and you're in their flight path, but other than that, you're in no danger of being stung. So once they establish a new colony in their new hive, or cavity of a tree or something, they will begin the process again where they start building out until there's no more room, and then that will cause another swarming event. And this is normal for bees in the wild. However, as a beekeeper, you don't want your bees to swarm. You want them to stay in the same box, and you want them to build out and their population to get huge so that you can produce more honey or split them so that you can sell bees. Whatever you're trying to do as a beekeeper. If the main goal is just for them not to swarm and go into your neighbor's house or pool, or then you need to do something to prevent them from going and swarming. Well, the first thing you need to know is when they're going to swarm. Now, here's some things that you should look for when you're in your hive to see if maybe they're trying to tell you, hey, we're getting to that healthy point where we're ready to swarm. And the first thing that we look for is backfilling the brood's nest. So the brood's nest should, in a healthy colony, when you pull out your frame, kind of look like the top corners are honey, the outsides are kind of bee pollen and bee bread, and then the middle is all worker brood. It looks like a nice football shape surrounded by, it's darker and it's surrounded by a lighter color. And then a couple weeks later, you can look in there and it's backfilled where they have nectar filling those cells where the brood used to be. Now, if that's in a upper brood box, that's kind of okay, because that means the queen should be laying a lot in the lower brood box. If that's not the case, and that is your lower brood box, that's a sign of swarming, but that gives you some time. You should have about a week or so, maybe 2. The next thing you should look for on your frame is a lot of drone cells that kind of looks like braille in the bottom corners of the frame. And then, of course, you're looking for queen cups that have eggs in them that are located at the bottom of the frame. Now, when it's a queen cup with an egg in it, it's called a swarm cell, especially if it's located at the bottom of the frame. If it's located elsewhere, it's called a supersedure cell, and that's typically a sign that your queen is having issues. The next sign is when you start seeing your bees conducting a fire drill. You'll see that at the beginning intro of our video, and if you watch it again, look at the entrance and you just see bees just coming out. There's no bees coming back with pollen. There's none coming into the hive at all. They're all exiting outward like they're in a hurry. Now you know the signs of swarming. What can you do to prevent it? Now, some people will take the queen and clip one of the wings. That keeps the queen from flying, and that allegedly keeps the bees in the hive. Sometimes they'll just swarm anyway and they'll leave the queen behind. Other things you can do is give them more space, and that's just by adding another brood box or a super on top. Now, most of the time these need to have pulled wax in it for them just to climb straight up, or a couple of the frames in the box need to have wax. Other things you can do is nadir, which is putting a box under your brood box, because bees build down, so if you put a box under, they should be able to pull it out with wax, and then you can switch it back to the top if you want. You just want those newer boxes to smell like bees, and you want your actual bees to go there, because a lot of times you add a box to the top, the bees don't enter the box at all, and then they swarm, and you said, well, I gave them more room. To them, you didn't give them more room because they built down. They're not going to go, hey, I got an attic now. But if you do put a box on top and it has pulled out frames, you're good to go. Alright, so I went ahead and got dressed up, because if I'm doing a YouTube video, I want to make sure that everybody knows I'm safe and I, set the example. But I went scavenging through my freezer and a resource hive, and I pulled out some frames of pulled comb. I understand that most beginner beekeepers may not have that, but I wanted to pull some out. That way it entices these guys to stay longer. So now what I'm going to do is, there's still a swarm commander up there. I'm going to go ahead and grab that and set it down near the box, kind of like I did that one. It's already kind of attracting some of the bees, so maybe I'll just lean this camera up against something and
you can watch me fumble around with this. All right. Let's see. Put it on this other hive. It's not going to be the closest, but let's do it. Get off of here, bug. Anyway, I figure I try and explain what I'm doing here. Number one, I was lost because the second swarm commander couldn't find it. I guess it had kind of fallen, but the bees had caught it and was hanging on to it. So now what I'm doing is I'm just using my hand and scooping the bees and just throwing them in the box. Now, do you have to do that? No, but for me, I want to be able to see if there's a queen that's with this swarm, and then put her in the box. Now, right now, there's so many bees on this thing that it doesn't make sense to try and just stand here and look for her. So I'm gonna scoop, 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 and just keep putting her in. And if I start seeing all the bees marching in here, like they're getting on here, which is good, I'll just move that back. And it's cool having the swarm commander and seeing, let's see if I can focus, seeing Nasinoff glands going. You see how high their butts are getting in the air? Trying to hold that there, maybe it'll focus. That's a good sign. But what I'll do is I'll keep scooping, and then eventually you'll see all these guys just start coming into the box, and that's due to the Nasinoff gland, and it's due to the queen actually already being in the box. So I'm gonna actually stop it for now and go to the other side so I'm not blocking you. Because I'm assuming I can't just prop you up here. If I can, I will. Let's see if I can move that. This is not gonna stay. But that's a cool picture, if it focuses. I can't like touch the screen and make it focus. Yeah, manly sneeze. Anyway. I'm going to see if I can find her and get her in the box. You can feel them vibrating. So this is, if you get a chance as a beginner beekeeper to be part of sorry, they're distracting me. Be part of catching a swarm, do it. Sign up for the list. Where are we at? There we are. Sign up for the list. Do what you can with your association. It is a lot of fun. You'll learn a bunch. And you know what? If you decided, hey, this year I'm not going to do bees, but you get yourself on the list, you can help with swarm captures. And then, of course, most people just offer it right to you because you're brand new, and you may end up starting that way. And that will save you some money because typically you're not going to buy it from the guy catching the swarm if you're helping. If you're not helping, they may treat you that way, but typically beekeeping's a friendly sort of activity. But, I mean, look at that. There's a big group of them, and I can just grab them with my hand. I mean, a bunch drop because I'm using one hand, but grab them with my hand, toss them in the box. And you don't see them trying to sting you. They're just like, what is going on? So this is the same bit of bees. You can see my nuke box there. And you see how many's here. This is my hand. And this is, 4 inches off of there because this is a true 4x4. It's not a store-bought. So I'm just going to use my hand, scoop up with both hands, and we're gonna plop those in that box over there. Pretty simple. Now, why am I wearing my orange gloves? It's just because it's safer. It's not. I could do this barehanded. The bee vibrations I'm used to at this point, but as a beginner beekeeper, you try and do it barehanded, you're gonna feel those vibrations. It's gonna feel like little bees are tickling you. If you don't have in your head that you're gonna get stung, then you got nothing to worry about. The minute that you start thinking, oh, I'm about to get stung, then it's time to put on gloves. Do I see the queen? No, that's not her. It's not her. Okay. So this is essentially what you want to see. You got your posts, got your bees, right? But as you start to notice, they're all starting to point the same direction. And then you got them climbing over. Now the one thing that I just changed was I moved the ladder a little bit closer. I didn't realize there was still about an inch gap. So we'll just set that right there so we stop shaking all that. We'll just watch them for a minute, because I know some people, especially myself, like watching the bees do their thing. And I wish y'all were here, because the smell is amazing. It's out of control. Now I want you to pay attention to the right side of the screen. You'll see that as the bees come onto the box, right? They stick up their butt, they flap their wings, and then they move along. It's almost like, hey, we're here, let's get on. And then they move along and the next set of bees comes and does it. And it's almost in the same spot every time. Different bees. Now I'm looking at the camera, maybe it's the same bee that I'm looking at, but it looks like they're trying. I'll move this swarm commander a little bit. Move it towards the back. Or maybe for y'all, I'll move it towards the camera. Get it right here next to the camera. Oop. Then they'll start walking at us. See if you see the difference. And I still haven't seen a queen, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. If the bees are coming into the box, it's either for the swarm commander or because I was able to scoop their queen into the box. And they're just making their way. I mean, there's still a lot. Still a lot on the front, the side. I mean, this was a good sized swarm. I'm gonna go in a 4-frame nuke box. What I'm gonna end up doing, just so you all know my thought process, is I'm gonna move it onto our platform and I'm gonna stack another 4 frames on top. That way it's like an 8-frame box, and they'll have a lot more room. And that box, I also put some pulled wax in there, so if there is a queen, she'll be able to lay all over the place, and the bees will be able to have enough room to not have any problems. Oop, bees walking on the lens. As far as winter goes, we're going to be feeding these guys until I see that they're basically honey bound. I'm going to swipe in front of the lens here, see if I can, oh, because the lens is on the other side. There we go. Get the bees off. But pretty awesome. You can do it yourself, just with a little bit of help from some swarm commanders or lemongrass, whatever you want to try and do. And then you just have to have some experience for setup. Basically, that's all she wrote. Like I said, this nuke box will go over on our platform, and then I'm gonna stick another box on top of it. How do I get the swarm commanders out? basically, I'm just going to shake the bees off, and I'm going to take them out. I mean, they're not gonna all come out of this nuke box chasing me down. Just in case that was one of the fears. Oh. I heard a toot or something, and that's typically a queen noise. I don't hear it now, but I heard something. Well, in any case, I'm going to scoop the rest of these guys. I don't know if you can see that. The sun's in my eyes. Woo, there we are. Yeah. So I'm going to scoop all those guys in. And then I'm going to